Hello, Star Wars fans. First off today, I'd like to bring up that Chuck Wendig was fired. He is a very outspoken SJW, and it was due to the vulgarity and negativity his tweets brought that he was fired. However, the decision to fire him was made by Marvel and not Lucasfilm, which means that the remaining rot at Lucasfilm won't be going anywhere, sadly. But Chuck is affecting the future of Star Wars in a different way. Specifically, Episode 9. Now the SJWs, who were defending the Disney Mary Sue trilogy from the Star Wars fanbase, are actively calling for a boycott of Episode 9. Which means that both the fans of Star Wars and SJWs are done with Star Wars. I've mentioned it before, but my estimated box office for Episode 9 has always hovered between 8 to 900 million. Now the movie might not even make that, which means it won't even break even. And now for the topic of this video. Last week, I covered Bob Iger, and towards the end, I talked about how Bob Iger in 2017 announced his Disney retirement in 2019, and how I thought he renewed Kathleen Kennedy's contract so she could be the fall guy when things go bad with the streaming service and the Star Wars theme parks. So I thought I'd create a visual timeline of what I think happened in 2017, up to the point of my prediction that he will leave before Episode 9 comes out. So in early October 2017, Bob Iger announced that he would step down as CEO of Disney in 2019. However, there is a lot of stuff happening in 2019 that has something to do with Star Wars. Galaxy's Edge, Disney streaming service, and Episode 9. The Star Wars theme parks will be opening at Disneyland in the summer and at Walt Disney World in late fall. As for the streaming service, Bob Iger has said that he expects the service to be available at the end of 2019. And of course, Episode 9 will be released in December of 2019. So I said that my theory was that Bob Iger announced his stepping down in October 2017 because that was about the time that The Last Jedi would be in a watchable form and nearly done with editing. However, there's also the deal where Kathleen Kennedy had sold the Star Wars broadcasting rights away to Turner Broadcasting. The media announced in August of this year that Disney couldn't get the rights back, but do you think Bob Iger didn't know about it far earlier? As in, maybe just before he announced that he would step down? And that the media only caught wind of it after negotiations failed? I think after watching a screening of The Last Jedi, Bob Iger would understand that his theme parks were in jeopardy due to fan backlash, and that he understood that his streaming service was in jeopardy due to Kathleen Kennedy's mistake in selling the Star Wars broadcasting rights. Those were projects that he was behind, that he could tell would be ruined by Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm. Of course he would want out, but he had to do it in a way where the blame wouldn't fall on his shoulders, which is the true reason as to why I believe Bob Iger renewed Kathleen Kennedy's contract for 3 more years. He hopes that she will be his scapegoat when he's gone. How would that work, you might ask? Well, I predicted that he would leave before Episode 9 releases, and I do think he wants to be there for both openings of Galaxy's Edge. So if I was to narrow my prediction down, I think he will step down 1 to 2 weeks after Galaxy Edge opens at Walt Disney World. This would be before both Episode 9 and the streaming service comes out. As to why this timing is important, I think it's a given that the theme parks will do well for a couple months past their opening due to fans that haven't lost faith yet. But eventually, the amount of visitors will fall drastically. And guess what comes out a couple months after the theme parks? Episode 9 and the streaming service. And if Episode 9 does as poorly as many fans think it will, including me, right about that time that the visitation to the parks drastically slows down, and then the streaming service does poorly, because they can't stream Star Wars, guess who is the prime target to blame for all of it? Kathleen Kennedy, since Bob Iger will have been gone for a couple months by that point. So yes, I think that Kathleen Kennedy's contract was renewed solely so she could serve as a future scapegoat, and not because Bob Iger has any faith in her abilities. And I don't think Kathleen Kennedy will serve the full contract, and that the fandom will only have to suffer her handling of Star Wars, for another year and a half, at most, rather than the full 3 years. If the thought of that makes you happy, click the like button below, maybe leave a comment, and
may the force be with you.